Good day, Alexander. Today we have a Q&A session from our viewers.
Yes, we just posted a question in our Telegram channel. Today is Saturday, and our viewers sent us a bunch of questions early in the morning. Thank you guys. Here.
First question from Irkutsk. Alexander, what do you think about banning vapes in Russia, and are you involved?
I'm indirectly involved. And I was one of the first people to start talking about vapes before the government even started saying they should be banned. And of course they should be banned, absolutely. Actually, vapes were originally invented by a person, let's say even electronic cigarettes, with good intentions. And people really didn't realize that it was harmful. And at first, vapes became widespread because people thought they were safe. But there have been many things in our lives that we thought were safe. These are various colorants, flavorings, flavor enhancers, and some food additives. But over the years, accumulated experience and the diseases that start to appear show that this is not harmless. Today we already know for sure that vaping is harmful, electronic cigarettes are harmful, so they definitely need to be banned. And most often people who start vaping to quit cigarettes end up with double the harm. That is, they both smoke and mess around with vapes or e-cigarettes. That's the greatest harm. That's why I fully support a 100% ban.
We'll have various questions.
To any open ones. How do you understand?
That you have a normal morning erection.
Normal, that's important, we talked about it.
That it's important. That's how you know it's enough.
How to the left is for money, to the right for happiness. It really should be there, but it might not be, and for various reasons it might not be there. Sometimes it's sleep problems, sometimes it's recovery issues, sometimes it's hormone level problems. But can a person be absolutely healthy and for some reason lose their morning erection? That can happen. But if you used to have morning erections regularly and now they've suddenly disappeared, that's a reason to think about it. Maybe your workload increased, your recovery isn't enough, or something in your body isn't functioning properly. And if this comes along with some other signs, for example, you started getting up at night to go to the bathroom, or your libido has decreased, maybe that's a signal that you need to go and get a checkup to check your hormones. Next.
Question. Fyodor asks, could you tell me which field of medicine you consider the most popular and in demand for young doctors, for scientific work, and for professional development?
My answer will probably be terrible, unfortunately. I think that in the coming years, artificial intelligence will eliminate everything that young specialists are doing today. Believe me, in just 5 years we will become mere executors and medicine will remain only in the format of execution. That's cutting something off, stitching something on, prescribing something, or administering an intravenous. Unfortunately, current practice shows that artificial intelligence, if you compare it to a human, the best combination today is always a human plus artificial intelligence. I think the next step will be that artificial intelligence will do the main work, including research, and the human will just be there as an extra for supervision. That's why I wouldn't risk recommending anyone to steer their life in a certain direction right now, because I have concerns that artificial intelligence will leave all of us who work in diagnostics and research without jobs.
What addition? They won't learn to do cosmetic surgeries, dentistry, and other regular things from testicles.
It might teach us how to grow new teeth. It might teach us how to create some peptides that will make cosmetologists unnecessary. It might teach us how to create new pharmaceutical drugs that will slow down aging. The trend of new drugs appearing and the speed at which they appear, thanks to the increased computational power of modern machines, is such that the amount of medical information is doubling at a very rapid rate. Very rapidly, and especially now that quantum computers are on the horizon. This means that drugs which used to take 15 years to develop may soon be created in just a matter of months. Many scientists, especially in anti-aging and life extension, say surviving the next 15 years is crucial. Because there's a very high chance that those who live through the next 15 years will be able to access drugs that could add 50 years to their lifespan. And that's very important. So today, here and now, it's crucial to preserve your health as much as possible. Because I don't think that's right, this search for the elixir of immortality. Life's beauty comes from its finiteness. Knowing our journey ends inspires us to leave a legacy. But we're making great strides in that direction to learn how to significantly extend our lives. That's why we probably live in a unique generation when the fountain of youth that Dalion was searching for has actually begun to appear. Take care of yourself, live as long as you can, and you may bring joy to your loved ones for many years.
A question about blood donation. What is your opinion on donating whole blood and its components?
It's beneficial. It's beneficial as long as it doesn't turn into some kind of pathology. I actually have patients who are super honorary donors, and for them it just turns into a kind of mania. And if you are a regular donor, I would probably give you some advice. It is definitely a noble cause. We are in great need of donor blood. What advice? Now, if you donate blood regularly, make sure to check what's in your own bloodstream. Because when you are accepted or not accepted as a donor, they mainly look at your hemoglobin level and your general blood test. No one checks your iron level, no one checks your ferritin level, no one checks your protein level. So see if your body can handle giving away essentially liquid connective tissue.
Next question. Anatoly asks, please comment on the topic of non-alcoholic beverages. Beer that has zero indicated on the label because people are happy to use it instead of the classic ones.
It's not exactly zero, it's 0 point something, just small amounts. I just don't understand. It's the same with non-alcoholic vodka. I don't like the taste. And basically, any alcoholic drinks, in my opinion, they don't taste good. If you drink them because you like the taste, well, probably go ahead, but I still think it's not the tastiest drink. I've never known anyone who tried beer for the first time and said, that's delicious. Usually everyone comes to this through a dislike for cigarettes, so you can drink. But in terms of organoleptic properties, these will never be drinks with some amazing vitality, a large amount of nutrients, minerals, or vitamins. Well, no. So as a doctor, of course, I'll say drink normal, healthy beverages, or better yet, just drink more water.
Next question, Yekaterina, words of gratitude. How can I avoid harming myself and make it easier to overcome an eating disorder? I constantly eat because of stress and then scold myself afterwards.
Yes, there is such a thing as an eating disorder. An eating disorder is actually a real thing, and there are many types of disorders. I think this is quite a big problem. And very often we see in different movies how girls eat ice cream because a guy broke up with them, or a guy, on the contrary, starts going to the gym. That is, women often turn to food, and men often go to the gym when there are some problems. It's an easy way to get some quick satisfaction. That's how, for example, people develop a porn addiction. And I think the most important thing is not to look for an easy painkiller. Understand that for you, food is just a way to escape reality a little, to make it simpler. The world is full of countless opportunities to make life better, brighter, and more colorful. It's sports, it's reading books, it's watching movies, it's spending time with loved ones, it's taking walks. All of this actually helps you get rid of the need. That is, don't try to give up just food. Look at it from another angle. Why do you want this? Most likely you want emotions. Think about how else you can get emotions so that you simply don't want this anymore. It will be hard to just give it up and not change anything in your life. You need not just to give it up, but to give your body what it's craving. These simple, easy, and easily accessible pleasures.
A question from Maxim about popular intravenous drips. What do you think about people coming to the clinic and just asking for intravenous drips to get a drip for energy, for a boost, and so on?
Such intravenous drips are very popular. We also do intravenous drips at our clinic, but we never do them blindly. You can't just walk in and request a specific cocktail. We don't support that approach. We believe people should understand why they need these intravenous drips. Why is the energy too low? Maybe he has an iron or protein deficiency, low testosterone. Maybe she has systemic inflammation or high homocysteine. Why do we want intravenous drips? Simply put, we're consumers. We want to feel better, to have better memory, to have more energy. Of course, many intravenous therapies can give you that. Probably it's more reasonable not to add additives to your engine to increase the octane number, but to understand why your engine's power has decreased. That's why those intravenous strips exist and we use them. But we believe it's better to understand why you're lacking energy. because the body is a much more complex mechanism than a car, and we often treat our cars much more reasonably, let's say, and properly than we treat our own bodies. Because you always go for maintenance on time, you care about whether the parts are original or not, and you care about what caused a certain noise to appear. And at the same time, you walk around with a pain in your side, you have psoriasis, your nails are peeling, and you don't care why this is happening. With your car, you think about what kind of gasoline you use, whether the oil is original or not.
The next question is from Maxim. Alexander, you often talk about the harm of sleeping less than 8 hours, but judging by your social media, and I agree with this. You yourself sleep much less.
How do you...
Can you make up for lost sleep, or is 8 hours not always essential? I caught myself thinking that many successful people actually sacrificed sleep.
I agree, that's how it looks. And that's how it's been for many years. But my lifestyle actually requires me to work as efficiently as possible. And when it comes to choosing between working a lot or working efficiently, I realize that you have to make a choice. Because this balance must always be maintained. You can't work a lot and be super efficient at the same time. The more you work, the lower your efficiency will be. And now I make myself go to bed a little earlier. If I used to go to bed at 2 a.m., now I try to go to sleep before midnight. Not because I can't, I really can. And my body is such that I don't feel like I haven't had enough sleep. But the sensors showed me what I didn't feel when I started tracking and collecting feedback from my body. And then when I finally did give in, more numbers, recovery, restoration, I started to feel more creative potential, more recovery in the gym, better skin on my face. I became more focused, probably, and the decisions I make became more balanced, more thoughtful, and in some ways more restrained. Can you say that I, of course, got older? But I realized that this format, which at the very least I'm testing right now, will allow me to stay resourceful for longer, and because the format of sleeping very little and trying to squeeze out as much as possible from myself. I guess I started thinking long-term probably when I had a child. I think about the future a lot because I want to watch him grow up, unlike my father, who missed that. I had just finished college, was in my first year of residency, and my father passed away. I want him to see what I do, and I want to see what he does. And the child actually probably influenced me to start taking better care of myself. Before, I used to think, well, even if I slept for 3 hours, I'd just get up and go about my day like normal. It's not about self-pity, but about viewing my body as a system and understanding how it functions and is structured. Just because a car runs doesn't mean you can skip oil changes. Yeah, I just started treating myself with more respect, and moreover, I'm teaching you to do the same. And I think, what if something happens to me and then people will say, he was teaching everyone here, telling them about life, and then, excuse me, he just died himself. That's why I try to live up to what I say. In everything. I didn't used to live up to it when it came to sleep, but now I do. Now I try to sleep, well, about 6-7 hours.
Next, Vlad asks Alexander about antidepressant side effects and their use in treating chronic pain. I'll add to that. I was surprised myself when I learned the story. One person who leads an active life, is an athlete, runs, does all that, works out, and at the same time has been on antidepressants for several years. Doctors officially prescribed it. Something about this story seems off. Well, could you tell me a bit more about antidepressants, how they're used for treatment, and why they're so popular?
They're popular because they're an easy solution. Antidepressant use rises yearly, especially in the West. That means it's a huge amount, and there are even specific diagnoses for them. Depression, you might not go to work because of depression, so it's considered a valid reason for not going to work, okay?
We have no valid reason.
Yes, I have depression and I'm on sick leave, but this happens often. Again, it's like a painkiller. It's like I'm taking a painkiller because my knees hurt. All this leads to many areas of our lives starting to suffer. Indeed, antidepressants have an analgesic effect, and this is their off-label use. But I think we need to figure out why our society has started to need antidepressants in such huge numbers. Why is everyone experiencing some kind of identity crisis, existential crises? You don't feel like doing anything, but all of this is being built. These feelings of ours actually come from the choices we make every day. A social pollution through the phone, constantly. Well, let's take a simple example of an average guy in the gym with headphones on, boom, 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 boom. His nervous system goes to bed late. He's constantly on his phone, constantly before sleep, also irritating his retina and photoreceptors, sleeps with music, eats poorly, doesn't get enough minerals and micronutrients, works out either too little or too much, and is in some kind of toxic relationships. Right now, the state of marriage is unclear. Something like that. He has a mortgage hanging over him. He's constantly thinking about some situation in the country, something else. So he starts to worry. And this huge amount of negativity from all sides is eating him up. And society, of course, gives us a huge amount of positive things, positive in terms of comfort, but this comfort has a huge number of side effects, that is, side effects that come into our lives. And actually, the paradox is that comfort is harmful. Comfort is harmful. A person should live in discomfort, but in the right kind of discomfort. Discomfort because it's cold, discomfort because it's hot, discomfort because you're hungry, because you need to move a lot. And today's world, unfortunately, is such that it turns us into the hero from the cartoon Wall-E, where there seems to be a lot of positive things around comfort. But everyone becomes people who don't need or talk to anyone, lacking real, live communication. Look at our childhood, look at our parents' generation, and look at the current generation. There's very little real communication left, very little live, genuine interaction. Social networks create the illusion that we're communicating, but loneliness, the lack of real live communication, is basically loneliness itself. It doesn't replace it. It's as harmful to the body as smoking, so it's no surprise that antidepressants, there's nothing to be surprised about, and it will only get worse. Nothing will change. Question.
Like this, we've filmed a lot of episodes about checkups, about getting your body examined, about things everyone should think about when it comes to their health.
A 20-year-old, I'll answer this question. But I don't think anyone will listen to me anyway, because I remember myself at 20 years old. You don't think about being 40, 60, or 80. It feels like you'll live forever, that you'll always have endless energy, that you'll never get sick, that unlike others, you won't have friends who betray you, and that everything will always be fine for you. For your career, it seems the best is yet to come. Of course, also because you have to, and of course, when people say like, don't jump, you'll break something, you'll get hurt, like, well, that doesn't work. It's like, no, don't buy that. It's a cycle because you'll fall. And I think like, I won't fall. That's what happens to other people. Unfortunately, other people's mistakes don't teach you about life. Other people's experiences don't teach you, but actually the ability to look at someone else's mistakes and learn from their experience can really help you move forward. Many of your peers, of course, learn a lot by repeating other people's mistakes, but your own mistakes are also necessary. That's why I don't really like giving advice to people in their 20s or 30s, because I remember when I worked as a doctor, I kept this huge sense of gratitude and savings. As you age, you realize it's nearby. And it's really important to look at things realistically. Don't be afraid to learn from others. Don't assume you're smarter or more experienced. Just keep learning. However, the modern generation often reacts sensitively when the older generation tries to teach them. Question.
Sergey, can you discuss the benefits and risks of tanning beds and whether they aid vitamin D production? And I'll say myself that tanning beds used to be in every other gym. They were very popular, but now they've suddenly become much less common.
Popular. Well, that's because first of all, we realized that it's harmful. Melanoma cases, a type of malignant skin tumor, have risen sharply since tanning beds became overused. With a tanning bed, it's like you're roasting in the sun. You realize it's already hot there. It heats you up so quickly that you don't understand how much ultraviolet exposure you're actually getting. Regarding vitamin D, I don't know if the doctors mentioned this, but the wavelength there is different. So the light itself, the type of ultraviolet, is not the one that stimulates vitamin D production, and getting vitamin D through ultraviolet is not the best option. It's still better if you live in a big city to take additional vitamin D. That's why tanning beds are extremely harmful, and I don't recommend them to anyone. I won't lie, there were times when I used to allow myself to do it too, but if I remember correctly, I probably haven't been to a tanning bed for at least 5 years. When I could afford it. When I had a vacation planned and just to get a little tan so I could spend more time in the sun, but I did it in very short sessions, always on my face, so I wouldn't get sunburned on vacation. But actually, I don't recommend even that. There are sprays that they make your cells produce pigment, thanks to which you won't get a tan, melanocytes. And there was a spray, you spray it in your nose, you get darker, but it had a side effect. You'd get it on your privates, and you'd get moles on your body, which might not go away later. The tan was a strange color, and at the time they even said it was like cancer prevention. Well, probably in the sense that you'd get less sunburned, yeah, but it can still trigger unwanted effects. Melanoma, we treat melanoma here, not in my department, but in the neighboring ones. It's a very nasty cancer, extremely aggressive. A tiny mole like this could be melanoma somewhere on the body, and the metastasis in the internal organs from melanoma could be this big, and they respond very poorly to treatment. That's why I started to be very careful. Plus, no one has cancelled photo aging. I have a presentation. I showed a woman there who had applied sunscreen only on her face all her life, and there was a clear line where she didn't apply it, and that area aged much more. Or there was a driver who was always on one side, on the sunny side. That's real photoaging. If a woman or a girl is watching me right now, the less ultraviolet you have in your life, especially unprotected, the longer you will look good and feel better. Completely avoiding the sun is also harmful. Lack of sun, not having enough sun in your life, is the same as smoking cigarettes. It should be there. The sun is not harmful. Too much sun is bad, so just get adequate sun exposure. They vacation, lie down, sunbathe, even tan between their fingers, and like sausages on a spit, turn from side to side until they turn black, so that when I come back, everyone can see that I was on vacation, that I got a tan. The guys do the same. Next.
Edward asked, in an episode you mentioned developing something powerful to help fight ampullary tumors. How is progress on this?
The main point is it's not an easy task. We're working on it. Stay tuned for updates. I hope there will be good news. You get happy when good things happen in Russia, not just abroad. We're working and making progress.
Next question, it's a short one. Why does alcohol relax you, and how does it awaken instincts under its influence?
Alcoholic erotoxin. It doesn't relax you. You could say it actually poisons you. Yes, alcohol is a pure neurotoxin. I think that with other banned substances, some instincts can also awaken. Views on alcohol have shifted. Doctors no longer claim any amount is safe. That's it. Any dose is harmful. People will probably start commenting now. To continue, what do you think about alcohol? Let's be honest. My view on alcohol is any dose actually safe? Write honestly in the comments, because whenever I write about cannabis or alcohol, you can immediately see in the comments that the defenders are clearly heavy users.
Here's the next question from Dimitri, seemingly after seeing the Baldness episode. The question is about how things are going with your use of Exidil and whether you have used it.
I don't know how things are going with me. Well, you can see for yourself how I'm doing. I haven't used Exidil for over 6 months. How do you think I'm doing? Share your thoughts in the comments. Is it normal or not normal? It was a short period. Right now I'm using a special herbal solution. It has several dozen herbal components that block dihydrotestosterone, but it's not considered a medicine. It's all natural. I'm testing it myself. Please write your evaluation. I'll likely release it on EPSME, but not soon. It could take a few months.
Having seen you in person for years, I noticed a big difference in those photos, even with the balding shown in the book and after.
That was when I cut my hair short.
Well, that's a really huge difference.
Yeah.
A huge difference. It felt like a transplant.
See, it's on the back of my head too, but no, I didn't get a transplant. I considered it but didn't act, and being in the public eye, everyone would notice. I never vanished.
Alexander, here's a question. Of course, we've covered this topic before, but just briefly. Sergey asks, what do you think about the ketogenic diet plus intermittent fasting?
It's also known as the illuminating diet. I feel positive about it, intermittent fasting and keto. Our body is adapted to different nutrition protocols. It was necessary not for being the best fit, but for survival. Back then, when there were no carbohydrates at hand and nothing to eat, when you would simply go hungry for a whole day. Everything we've learned to create today through diets was originally programmed into us and created so that we could simply survive. And each, let's say, nutrition protocol has its own certain pros and cons. I'm not a big fan, to be honest, of strict diets. Now, I'm more of a supporter of flexible diets, and I don't really like diets with strict restrictions. Right now, I eat in an intermittent style, meaning I have a 6-8 hour eating window each day. There are several reasons for this, and I have no contraindications. There are many reasons, including work. I no longer have time during the day to carry a container, and this allows me to work quite comfortably. I get up, skip breakfast, and don't eat until around 6 or 7 in the evening. I don't have time, but now that I'm comfortable, I get much more done. In the evenings, I come home and eat twice. Next.
I'm smiling at this question, that's all. On the topic of youth, a person with the nickname Eccentric writes a question. Is it better to be a successful normie or an eccentric loser?
Well, I think that being a normie or an eccentric is, first of all, a worldview, either your own or your judgment of someone else. You should be who you are, someone genuine. These extremes that I often see among young people are often imposed by fashion. I mean, trends, some kind of subcultures. When I was very young, there were emos and so on. They're the same, it's just fashion. The question is, if you take away fashion and you're not being eccentric just to be shocking, is that who you really are? That's why it's important to be genuine, that's one thing, and at the same time to be successful. If you have to be fake in order to be successful or happy, you won't be either successful or happy. Because a person can only be truly happy when they are living their real life, their true life, with the people he wants, doing what he enjoys. And eccentricity, well, if you are truly being yourself and not just, say, dyeing your hair purple to attract attention, because if there's some kind of trauma, that's probably not very healthy. Many people who know me in real life think I'm very different on screen than off screen. I'm actually no different at all. I'm exactly the same in real life as I am on screen. Well, I might joke around or something like that, but the values I talk about, you've known me for many years, those haven't changed. If I call something evil or good, I'll say the same in real life.
If you ignore others' opinions, the real question is whether it's better to be successful or a loser.
Well, look, successful or loser is again a criterion set by others, so what does normie mean? But if you have to choose one or the other, how others see you doesn't matter. What's important is being successful and happy, since successful people are usually happier. Here.
I didn't find a single video on your channel about fractures, recovery after them, or any recommendations.
Questions? I can tell you, I often get into topics that I don't personally deal with, but I still have a medical education and quite a rich background. As an athlete, as someone who has spent my whole life in sports medicine, not just classical medicine, and also in bodybuilding for many years, I was always reading and learning something. I understand that theory alone isn't enough. And of course, when it comes to fractures, the people who should be speaking are those who have not only theoretical knowledge, but also practical experience. And that's why I always invited people from other fields for interviews on my channel. I don't enjoy endlessly talking about testosterone, so my episodes feature guests from various professions instead of urologists. I invite them to share their perspectives. About the turning point, I feel like it wouldn't be quite right for me to comment on it myself, but I do it from time to time. And I tell you about, let's say, the things that I am involved in. Well, I'm a doctor of science in oncology. I've spent my whole life working in urology, andrology, and you could say endocrinology. But having the opportunity to influence you in a positive way, I try to find useful, necessary, and valuable information. I check it repeatedly, but still sometimes say something wrong. Still, I try to help you. I have the chance to address a large audience, which got arranged in my life. And to do something good or not to do it, probably it's worth doing. But it always causes problems. For example, when I filmed an episode about hair, trichologists objected. I understand that behind this most often there's a lot of envy, and they're looking for a way. They don't understand that the amount of good I bring far outweighs any minor mistakes that might occasionally slip through. but I've seen it. There's a girl, I won't say her name, she does fitness, and it's one of the fastest growing blogs in Russia. It was, and maybe still is, I don't know. Yeah, she sometimes says silly things. Yeah, of course, like she's not some kind of fitness guru or anything like that, but she's mastered making reels well and makes several reels a day. And people watch and still get more or less useful information. That's probably better than if it were a rapidly growing blogger doing who knows what and nothing meaningful. She still creates useful content, though not all her advice works. Yes, some of them are a bit silly, but I can just see how a lot of fitness trainers and bloggers are getting really jealous. That's why I talk about topics that aren't mine, but I do it consciously. And I fully understand that I'm not a super expert in every field, but I have an audience that trusts me, and I try to find information that can be verified and double-checked, not just my personal opinion. Next question.
From a person. How do you live without being afraid of dying from cancer at a young age?
At a young age? Well, if there are any prerequisites, like some genetically determined cancers, hereditary ones, you probably shouldn't be afraid, because that will only increase the risks since you'll be in a negative endocrinological state. You probably just need to get checked.
I guess I watched too many videos.
If you've seen too many, just close the video and stop watching. That's cancer phobia, and every doctor has it. Every morning at the conference, we hear stories of people who never drank or smoked yet suddenly get cancer. Or someone has a mole all their life, then suddenly it becomes melanoma. And of course we have that too. But I realize that to help, to cope with the fear. Death, oncology appear, well, not appear, but they help you. More meaning in life subtitles. That is, by bringing more meaning and results into your life, the fear goes away. You realize you've accomplished a lot, are satisfied with your actions, and are focused in the right direction. That's how you add more meaning to your life. Because people are often very afraid because they're afraid they won't have time to do something since they haven't done anything yet. Or, for example, what if something happens without me? Actually, as the years go by, you stop being afraid of death. I became more so. Well, if it's meant to be, then it will happen. But if it doesn't depend on me, I won't worry about it. And to live life, when I do everything I can to make sure it doesn't happen, I live. Subtitles. And if, despite all this, it still happens, well, that happens. In that case, we'll act according to the circumstances. That's why, you need to approach this like a man. Do what depends on you. Don't drink, don't smoke, do sports. And if it happens, well, there's a standard checkup for that. You can't protect yourself from everything. It's like seeing someone get hit by a brick somewhere and then never going outside for the rest of your life.
Is everything heading toward growing whole organs? You can swap out a whole unit in a car. Similarly, you can do the same in the body.
I think that's silly regarding organ growth. Technologies for regenerating organs using your body's resources will likely progress faster than organ transplantation. If we once imagined the future as growing and transplanting organs like livers or kidneys, I now believe everything will shift toward self-restoration and repair. You take a medication and your body rapidly repairs itself, clearing all plaques and leaving everything completely clean. We'll get there. It's just a matter of time. The question is, you take the medication and all excess cholesterol in your body, including from blood vessels and walls, just disappears. If there's dementia, you get a neurodegenerative drug, an injection, and everything quickly returns to normal. I believe it's only a matter of time before all bodily malfunctions, even major ones like giant tumors, can be fixed. Currently, surgery or chemotherapy are the only options, but an injection would let the body absorb it naturally.
There's a new car subscription technology for electric cars where some power is restricted and paying unlocks it. Is it possible in the future to have something like a health subscription, like as long as you pay, they keep everything in check for you?
It might not last long.
To live long.
If
Subscription, you pay for health?
you want to live, you pay. Yes?
How do you like the idea, a subscription to?
Health. Well, something like that. Go on, Kramelnaya. I don't know. Yes, the government is suggesting the idea. Who knows how it will turn out? We'll see. Well, basically, it's a subscription for the body. Yeah, if you don't pay, you die. Is that it? It's terrible, I think, and
Here's a question. How did you do in school? Did you like subjects like chemistry and biology? And how did you even decide to become a doctor? Was it known since elementary school?
school, yes, it was known before school. Since childhood, I wanted to be a doctor. I looked up to my mom. My mom was a doctor. And I always thought it was something really cool and useful. And there were different tests. I remember in the early grades, my parents sent me to tests that show a person's inclinations. I was always inclined toward two things: to teach, to educate, and to heal. To heal, or anything related to animals, and I really do like it. I really am good at it. And it allows my inner light to shine out, to spread. I get a lot of pleasure from it. And despite all the things that have appeared in my life not so long ago, I still continue to do what I love. Not what pays, but what I love.